Are you both 26?
Yeah.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You can have them both, mate.
Wait, am I the oldest person on this podcast?
Yeah.
Fire. I love that for me.
I've a feeling I've seen that man's face. Who is he?
That's Kobe. Kobe has all the answers. I've got the feeling that behind it all is an organization that's a lot bigger than just his gang.
This is episode 1 of a podcast that we haven't named, doesn't have a name. We'll figure that out later by episode like 5 or something. And I guess the original point of it was like, let's just shitpost live. So let's just sit on a call together and talk about whatever's happening, and see where things go. But then the first time we tried to do it, Zion didn't turn up. He was hanging out with his children or something.
I'm back.
He was down bad. And now the markets are at actual zero. They're as low as they're gonna go, I think, hopefully.
That sounds like hopium, Kobe. That really sounds like hopium.
Yeah. I mean, if it goes much lower, I will literally need a job again. I have to get a job. I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to go with a faith-based investment strategy and just say it must be the bomb must be in, at least for the next few days. But last time when we were going to record this, it was like a week ago or something, we were going to talk about like simp DAOs and stuff, but now the markets are at zero. It feels like simp DAOs were sort of like the final nail in the coffin that sent us to where we belong, which is at zero. And I just don't know if I can face talking about them anymore. What can we even say? It was a week ago. It was so long ago. They've gone to zero themselves.
That's bad news because I'm about to launch my simp DAO. Shit.
That's a good product market fit, you know?
But there's gonna be a test before you're allowed to buy tokens. We have to do the age test.
The age test is half your age plus 7.
What's the age test?
So there's this thing where like you can tell if someone there's like a barometer to tell if someone's age appropriate for you or not, where you take your age, divide it by 2 and add 7, and they have to be that age or older for them to be age appropriate. So that's the test.
I think I've heard that before.
So you're doing KYC to enter to your own simp DAO, and then wait, but why are you restricting the simps to only age appropriate simps? Is it actually a dating DAO?
We don't know. Roadmap is under development. This is a pre-product.
Is this a decentralized The Bachelorette? Is that what you're going for? Need to make sure everybody's age appropriate?
That already exists, and I'm an investor in it. Or like I participate in the crowd still for it. It's called Altered Realities or something. Devin Lutan started. Oh,
seriously?
Yeah. I bought a cerulean rose, which entitles me to like pick contestants for this decentralized. I think it's Decentralized The Bachelor.
What does decentralized mean when you say decentralized The Bachelor?
I think it just means that people who own the NFTs they use to fundraise get to do things in the show. Like
so the original meaning of decentralized then.
Yeah, it's like the community are the producers. Yeah. And it started from, do you guys ever listen to that Clubhouse that was like NYU girls talking to tech guys? Okay.
No.
We did very different things during the pandemic. So these NYU girls would do this Clubhouse, and where like people would come in and shoot their shots. So they'd introduce like a girl from NYU, and then tech bros would try to shoot their shot. It was amazing. It was filled with cringe. They were like, let's take this and make it into a show. I was like, 10 out of 10 would watch that. Sounds amazing. Yeah. This is what I do with my free time. So
how long ago did this crowd sale happen?
It's still going on. I think it ends tonight at 6 p.m.
You're trying to get in, Kobe.
Get in, Kobe.
I was just thinking, like you said, it like during the pandemic. I thought if it was at the height of the pandemic and they haven't done anything for like a year, that's basically what I would have expected of the Decentralized Bachelor. But if it's soon and they launch the crowd sale at the top of the markets, then yeah, it is time to go all in maybe.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. Look,
You got a cerulean rose.
I got a cerulean rose, that's right.
Is that the most elite item you can get?
No, I think there's one more elite one that like gives you producer credit on the show. But I don't have that kind of like my commitment level is not high enough for that. That sounds like a lot of work.
I don't think I want producer credit on this show.
Yeah.
All right, talking about useless items and shit, like fictional in like scam items. Z, you got to talk to us. You're down bad. Your jewel went down 90% in a day. What's going on with your summons and shit? Is DeFi Kingdom really DeFi Kingdom, or is it just DeFi fucking Doom?
Yeah, just Doom. Dude, I'm so like, what was it, last week? We were like 20, now I'm at like 8 or 7. I mean, at least it's cheaper to summon now, so... yeah, so I think we'll see like with a lot of these games, if people like keep interest when it's not at like peak euphoria, like peak bull, because like last week everybody was hyped because price was like up whatever 5x 4x, but now I think you're starting to see like the difference between people who are just using the token and people who are actually like playing the game, because a lot of people are still actually playing the game, but a lot of people are upset that they bought at 20 and now it's at $8, so I guess we'll see. The devs have said that they're gonna build whether it's up, down, or sideways. So yeah.
Does anyone have any conviction?
I mean, at 20, it was like what, 12 billion, fully diluted.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta sit back and be like, dude, how can a single game be $12 billion when it's just like pixels basically right now?
Dude, so I was like,
3-4 things you can do. I mean, Activision is 60 billion. It's like a fifth of the entirety of Activision. I don't know.
Yeah, but imagine if they launched a token, it'd be 600 billion. That's what you got.
Seriously. So I was looking at like,
point.
I was looking at what is it? Like Sandbox and like what's the other one called? Decentralized.
Yeah.
And those are like crazy. They're like crazy fun, like fully diluted too. And
But
they're like no.
That's how the scams happen, right? Because people mentally adjust to the highest possible valuation on the market.
Yeah.
And they go, look, that one's worth 100 billion, so mine's undervalued, rather than being like, let's compare it to something in the real world. And then then people like peg to the highest possible valuation ever as well. So it's like, at its peak, that was worth 200 billion. So I feel like mine can definitely go to like 300, 400 since it's better.
Yeah. I think there's like a difference between, so Mania is always gonna front run like the actual like fundamentals, like you said, but there's no game that really exists that people are playing in there like having fun. Like the DeFi Kingdoms is at like stage 2. Like there's not even nothing that you can do really. Like you can quest, but there's no PvP. Like there's no guilds yet. That's still like later on in the roadmap.
But wait, does anyone actually play these games? So my experience with this, I bought a bunch of Genesis critters. Do you know this is like the game launched on top of Roblox? It's actually amazing. So you buy these things called critters, and I bought a couple, and then every 7 days you stake your critter and then you can rent it out, right? So every 7 days you can recall your critter from whoever bought it, and then whoever rents it from you, you split the tokens with them so they can use your critter to play this game. And so one of my friends is using his children, right, as the resource to play these games. So he has his kids playing this game. They earn tokens. I rent my critters out. So all I have to do, I feel like I'm like a wealthy landowner where I have like digital serfs who earn coins for me. I just sit back and chill. And I feel like that's also what's going on with Axie. Like people buy just these Axie NFTs and someone else somewhere is playing the game and then they just get an income stream. So it's like, do people who are capitalizing these games actually play them? I don't think so. It's just creating like a new micro economy where there are people who have assets who pay people who don't have assets to play games, and then they split the winnings.
Yeah,
it's
child labor.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think about it, right? Like it's just a new form of entertainment. So, like 30 years ago, you'd pay a bunch of caddies to drive you around on the golf course, and now you're just paying a bunch of people to play a game for you, right? Because entertainment has just shifted into the digital world.
Right.
And so basically what you're doing is you're moving your entertainment spend into the metaverse.
Okay, but what I noticed,
spending it IRL.
But what I noticed is like a few weeks ago when I first started doing this, I got a lot more tokens. Now, like the people who are renting my Genesis critters, they're not playing enough because I'm not earning as many tokens. So it's, I'm kind of sad about it because I just need people to be playing more, so I get more of my little tokens.
Don't you think all of this is like really dark?
Yeah. So I think like the thing with Axie is the like that large, what was it? How many like the Philippines were playing it and they were getting paid more than their like minimum wage. I think when it's like stuff like that and you can literally see like the click farms. Like somebody posted a video on Twitter where somebody had like just hella screens just click farming the game. I think that's separate from the actual games, as I said, which don't really exist yet. But I do think they're going to be games that people just enjoy playing versus games that people are just like,
okay,
it's like minimum wage, basically work, but digitally.
But here's the issue I have with that, right? The cost to develop a really good game. Like we talked about Activision Blizzard. The average spend on an Activision Blizzard game from a development and marketing, like content perspective, is astronomical. So even though these projects have like these massive market caps, a really, really tiny portion of that is actually going into game development. And I think in the crypto space, like all of the games, I've spent time in Decentralized, like it's pixelated and it's not really that interesting, I don't think. No offense intended. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the experience in blockchain gaming are like really lackluster compared to like I grew up playing video games. Like I spent summers in my basement. I had no friends that play like Final Fantasy and all these RPGs. I don't think there are really games like that are really story driven, that have enough capital even to build a good game. And the issue is if the majority of the returns, right, and the majority of the capital in these ecosystems goes to investors and is sold in these VC rounds, like what's actually being spent on developing and marketing the game? And then on top of that, the game engine isn't even reliable because these blockchains can't support transactions at scale. So I think there's sort of this like fundamental issue where we have all these crazy expectations around what these games are worth, when in reality, like the cost to develop a really engaging game and to build a robust game franchise is a multi-billion-dollar activity. So I think in the crypto space, there's just like a bit of a lack of appreciation for the sheer amount of capital and resource required to build an engaging game with a robust community that isn't just driven by Ponzinomics. And who knows, like the Ponzinomics could last a long time, and that's certainly not a criticism. But again, I think one of the issues with decentralization is if the proceeds don't accrue back to the actual development of the game and there isn't reinvestment in improving the gameplay and the story and like adapting also to new technology that's emerging not only on the crypto side but on the gaming side, right? Like with Epic and Steam and Unreal Engine and the ways that people are playing, and like it's just really difficult to see how these games are going to have longevity. I don't know, maybe I'm a skeptic. And definitely the short-term game is different than the long-term game.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
No, I'm totally with you. I was always of the mindset that the crypto gaming space would be eaten by traditional gaming studios that, actively adopt crypto as opposed to crypto people actively building games. That was always my approach to it. But I think at least DeFi Kingdoms, that changed my mind in a little bit of a way because they were able to so quickly integrate the rest of DeFi into an actual game and made it very palatable for your average crypto user to come in and actually enjoy it, but also get everything that they've expected out of DeFi from it. And so I think in some ways you could have that angle too, where you not only see like dope games, but you see your life intertwined with games in a way that you had never really expected before.
Well, and I think, Avi, that actually goes to sort of like a corollary. My thesis is the ultimate blockchain gaming experience already exists. It's called DeFi, right? Like investing is a form of entertainment, and I think the nexus of where like blockchain technology and gaming becomes interesting is making investing gamified and fun. And so I think there's actually this interesting thing where we're looking to build traditional games on top of crypto, and I'm like, let's build the game that people love the most and the game with the best prize, which is making a shitload of money, and it's called Capital Markets, right? This is the game I've been playing for the last 15 years of my life. It's the best game ever.
I think every boomer that's going to listen to this just threw up a little bit.
That's fine. But like that's great. More opportunity for us.
I agree.
The world is changing. And I think we saw this, like meme stocks, right, are a great example of this. Not necessarily that is like long-term value creation, but there's a ton of capital getting thrown around. People want to deploy capital. People are figuring out like, wait a minute, instead of spending hours a day, spending money on games, I can spend hours a day playing this new online game called DeFi or crypto or whatever you want to call it, and actually have the opportunity to make life-changing amounts of money.
Yeah, I mean,
call me crazy. I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think for crypto gaming stuff, I am a massive skeptic because I agree with Avi. I thought crypto native projects, especially late cycle founders, are not founding projects for with the incentive to make a really great game. They're founding because they realize they can get extremely cheap capital from VCs who are willing to fund virtually anything after seeing stuff they didn't understand go parabolic, and eventually get rich from selling a token and skirting securities laws or whatever through a game, and that's why most of these late stage projects just look like Ponzi's. So I thought, well, surely it has to come from a real game studio. They'll have to be the people that build the game that makes sense, and they'll just have to integrate crypto because they know how to make games, and that's the most important thing. But then after all of the backlash from real world gamers or gamers in quotation marks on NFTs, I thought, okay, well, it can't be the mainstream studios because they have so much revenue risk from this integration that they probably just won't do it. They try and then they back out every single time. So maybe it does need to be an indie studio trying something for the first time who doesn't have anything to lose and wants to push the boundaries and be a little bit different. But I think all of the current implementations are just very similar to late cycle crypto, where it's like we build something that is bad that people would not want to use or play if they weren't being paid for it. But then we pay them for it, so they will use it. And because we're paying for it, we get some kind of network effect or daily active users, which fulfills some valuation, which allows us to sell some tokens or raise some more money or whatever. And it attracts other players because the amount you can earn from playing this game goes up if people are playing, which increases the valuation, blah, blah, blah. Until at some point someone just goes, fuck this, I'm out. And the people that won were the people that were early, basically. So I think until there is a game that people just enjoy playing that gets financialized, not in a I get paid to play, this can replace my salary kind of way, but more in a if you play a game which becomes culturally important 10 years down the line, it might be worth something. I think that makes a lot more sense to me, but I am a huge skeptic, and I think most of it is just people figuring out how to they've figured out the real game is how to make the founders and investors wealthy by obfuscating the incentives enough that people can suspend disbelief that this is a new thing. But 5 years, I will maybe change my mind. But for now, I just think the incentives are perverse.
Do you think it's different for DeFi projects though, pure DeFi projects? So
no, it's the same. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff is products people would not want to use unless they were getting paid. Of course, there are some exceptions, but so much of crypto, especially late stage founders, late cycle founders, who in most things in crypto, I think if you just analyze the incentives at play, you can figure out underlying what's actually happening here. And I think that's why the alt layer 1 cycle was very good, and I think that's why you were able to identify differences between alt layer 1 ecosystems by looking at incentives. And the incentives of alt layer 1 founders like your Harmony or Avalanche or Solana or whatever, their incentives are, we want to get users and we want the price to go up because we founded this chain, we own a bunch of it, we want to be rich, eventually we want to sell some, and it's better for us to do that if the price is really high through adoption, blah, blah, blah. In order to get adoption, they want to pay people to build on their chain. So they do these huge community funds or whatever. Please come build and us will incentivize you to build here to get projects to build in order for users to come over. Now, these projects that they're incentivizing, their founders' incentives are, I can build cheap, VCs are funding anything. They'll fund like a fucking Maker clone on EOS with a cute logo. They know they can build risk-free. They can get $5-10 million in a raise for nothing. They know that which projects are likely to be successful, right? Because every ecosystem needs an AMM, every ecosystem needs a popular stablecoin, blah, 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 blah. So that's
basically, you're laying out the whole Avalanche thesis, right? Avalanche ecosystems just like copy pasta from every other chain.
And the users' incentives are they want to be early, right? So they go to these layer ones to be early, and they want to be early to the dexes. They missed Uniswap or they missed, whatever else. So now they get a chance to be early again. And all the way down, it's just people paying people to make themselves rich. It's like the layer one founders are paying the developers to build stuff so that it can boost the ecosystem. And these founders that are building things on the layer one are giving away tons of tokens to users so that they come over and like incentivize a valuation for their project. So I think a lot of DeFi and gaming has the same incentives at play and look very, very similar. But I think it feels like when it's financial product, I feel like it feels more normal. When it's a game and you have, I don't know if you follow any of the team of Axie, but if you go look at any of their tweets, it's just carnage.
It's bad.
It's carnage. It's loads of people like, I'm all in Smooth Love Potion, and it just goes down. Like, you told me I was going to be able to pay off my mortgage with a Smooth Love Potion. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Whereas when it's like a DeFi, it's like, it's a financial product. Everyone always gets scammed. But gaming, I think it changes it a little bit. It makes it feel a bit dark to me.
I think one of the core like selling points of DeFi is that users benefit from it more than than they would from participating in traditional finance. And I think that in crypto, it gets overdone to an extent because of how crazy stuff gets in bull markets. But still, the underlying core should be users should be incentivized to use these platforms. And from my point of view, the best way to get people to want to do that is through gaming, gamifying things. A lot of people don't really care about making 5% in a bank account. But if they're playing a game that they're interested in and they actually have fun playing, then they may be more interested in DeFi and may want to learn more about it. So the reason that DeFi Kingdoms was interesting to me is because it's the first thing that's done that intersection, or has at least tried to do that intersection really well. Even though stuff can get crazy with how valuations happen. So
it's probably just an expectation things at the end of the day, right? I mean, in finance or in DeFi, there's always a little bit of an adversarial mindset whenever you're playing in financial products.
Right.
And so you're always a little bit more on edge, thinking through what could go wrong, what could go right, and you treat it as an investment. And then gaming it's just not pitched like that at all in any way, shape, or form, even though it's becoming financialized. So I can see why it's more dangerous, but I think at the core it's basically the same, right? And I think the one question that we have to ask, especially with crypto, is that crypto makes it so easy to financialize every aspect of our life. Literally everything can get financialized. And the question is that a good thing or is that a bad thing, right? And there are arguments on both sides. And I actually tend to lean towards the side of it's probably a bad thing to financialize every aspect of it. Because, can you imagine a scenario where social tokens get really big and then you can long short people? I mean,
Low-key happening already, right? So we have simp DAOs already, dude.
Yeah, it's like a recipe for disaster, right? I don't know. Did you guys read Eric Wall's thread on simp DAOs and why he's so bullish on them?
No, I saw he changed his profile to a female version of himself, and I just unfollowed him. It was weird.
No, dude, you got to read this thread. It actually made me kind of bullish on simp DAOs. It's he basically made the argument that it's the purest expression of investment. It's actually pretty interesting, right? So, I mean, what have humans paid for throughout history? Sex is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're gonna financialize anything, and you're financializing sex on like a grand scale, I mean, that just fits with everything.
But also
right?
all
And
technology.
so simp DAOs are just a natural extension of this.
But all technology innovation has come from horny people trying to get off, right? Like
All of it?
a lot of it. Like
yes.
No. But
yes. The moon landing was because NASA scientists were super horny
About
Yeah.
the
They
moon.
wanted to get laid.
Yeah,
Is
they
this
wanted
psychological
Horny about the
projection?
moon.
they wanted alien babes. No, but if you look at streaming video, right? That's the porn industry. If you look at online payments, porn, like a lot of early innovation, it's like it's people wanting to get off. I mean, I don't think this is
You're not
necessarily a
wrong.
bad thing. I also think actually that prediction markets on people are kind of inevitable. Like social tokens are inevitable. I read a lot of sci-fi. There's a great book by this British author, Charlie Strauss, who is a vibe. It's about this future where there are prediction markets on people. And actually, if you think about like influencer culture today, that's effectively what it is, right? Like people create sensationalism, do outrageous shit in order to make themselves more popular, which allows them to get paid for doing crazy shit and marketing for different brands. So like in a way, those markets already exist. It's just that they only exist for a very specific category and people who participate in a very specific type of attention economy. But all of us are engaging in it. We're engaging in it right now by doing a podcast, right? Because arguably the incentive of spending time on this isn't like out of the goodness of your heart. In some way, shape, or form, you're hoping to obtain some type of currency, whether it's social currency, cultural currency, like relevance, whatever it may be. Like people are constantly pricing things, even if it's done in esoteric terms. So by attaching an actual monetary price to these things, we're making that more transparent. So I think at the end of the day, we're already pricing everything. Everything's already financialized. It's just today some of that value is esoteric and it's difficult to capture in real monetary terms. So I think it's inevitable.
Yeah, but I think a lot of like the sanity that exists today is because you can rationalize away your like inability to gather that currency. And in a world where you actually can gather it and like you can see the scorecard, then your cope doesn't work and you just get depressed. Right? I mean, I think that it just introduces a lot of societal problems, and it probably will like skyrocket the rate of depression, skyrocket the rate of like comparing to other people, and also allow for other people to tear you down in a way that has never really been available to people before.
Right.
I think this is really far off, but it is a little bit scary to me.
But I think this is what like kids online today experience. Like we're probably the last generation of people to have grown up without cell phones, to have grown up without like the omnipresent sort of social media presence. Today, like my 8-year-old niece, she's on TikTok and Instagram, like she's 8-year-old, right? And kids are online all the time. So I think it's a little bit different because we're one of the few generations that still remains that didn't grow up with that. I think for a lot of kids today, like rates of depression really high, like, they're very concerned with their appearance, how they're perceived online. We didn't have that pressure, but I think certainly that's becoming more and more prevalent as people spend more and more of their time online. And then I think COVID and the pandemic simply accelerated that, right? Because if you're not engaging with people in physical space, the only thing you have is like your digital presence. So people invested a lot of time and energy into curating like very specific persona, very specific archetype that represents like this idealization of how they want to be perceived. You see it in crypto, like the insane amount of LARPing in this space is just like absolutely wild, especially when you know people offline and then you see their Twitter persona and you're just like, what is that? Like this
Right.
is wild. So I don't know. I view it as inevitability. Is it good or is it bad, Avi? I mean, I think the question is, I don't think it's good or bad. I think it just is, and it's sort of one of these inevitabilities. And the question is, what do we do with it? Like technology is not going away, right? The pace is only going to accelerate. It's just what do we do with it?
It's defo bad. You were talking about
think-
like body image and stuff. Imagine there's like a girl who does a TikTok dance, then a social token like dumps because she's like, no, you sucked at that one. Like you've lost all your money.
I think like
I don't know. Like I also don't always buy the argument that just because it can be done means it will be done. I mean, like to go like really extreme, take murder as an example. Like people have always been able to murder other people. It just became socially unacceptable to do that, right? And
Yeah,
people are
Zion.
were always able to scam other people, but it's just socially acceptable and there are laws in place to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so it's like, do we want to go down this path? I guess one question I would have is, I mean, I don't talk to that many teenagers. Do you think that they're do you think that they're better suited to deal with this type of environment?
yeah.
You know, just because they grew up with it, and I'm coming at it from the wrong perspective just because I've never had to deal with that before, and they're just they're just going to chug along and be just fine?
The way I look at it, like, I guess for me, the best comparison is like, so, like esports. So like when I was growing up, like I played hella video games. Like I played World of Warcraft, like all those games. And like my mom and other parents were always like, you shouldn't spend all this time playing video games. Like it's rotting your brain, like blah, 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 blah. And now these kids are like spending all their time playing video games and they're like getting paid for playing them. I think like right now, like the social tokens are essentially in that same place that esports was back when I was a kid and nobody was calling it esports. It was just kids playing video games. And right now you just have like people being online all the time. So I definitely agree it's inevitable. I hope it's I can see definitely like that it could be negative, but I do think it's going to happen regardless. I think there's going to be, I'm not really sure how it's going to get, like what's going to be the good and bad side of it, or how you can even regulate it, because it's going to be mostly online and so much of it is going to be digital.
I'm going to be such a boomer. I can see it now. Like, I'm going to be like super conservative boomer getting pissed off by all the new trends. I'm already getting annoyed by them. I'm going to be like a grumpy dude. Just like this. Oh, it was like better.
I try and think, like, what are the 10-year-olds right now going to be doing in 10 years? Because it's not going to be us. Like, it's not going to be what we're doing in 10 years. It's going to be what they're doing in 10 years. It's going to be, like, the hype, the cool new thing.
But also the cool new thing, I also think there's a strong element of anti. Like, you saw this with Normcore, right? Like, if anyone remembers Normcore a few years ago, there was, like, crazy fashion street style. And there was a bunch of people who came out and they were like, we're going to dress like your dad. We're going to wear, like, shitty jeans and like dad sneakers and what are those like crunchy sandals, the Birkenstocks, and they were like, normcore is now the cool thing because it's anti what's actually cool. So I also think culture kind of moves in these cycles where it's like push and pull. So there will probably be a strong movement of people who are like, hey, we're not going to be omnipresent online. We're going to eschew technology. Those groups exist today, right? Like there's the Amish and the Mormons, and there are these super niche subcultures. But I think what we're seeing is like the rise of subcultures and also the financialization of subcultures. Crypto is a great example of that because there's so many different subcultures in crypto, and then you inject capital into these subcultures and they start to like take on a little life of their own. We're just in a very specific subculture, but I think there's all these really like fascinating subcultures emerging. Like the QAnon thing, right? It was such an interesting phenomenon because it became so big so quickly, and it just consumed so many people who would normally never be taken in by something like this. And I think that's what you get when you get a society where like people are afraid to go outside. We've been sitting in our houses on LARPing on the internet for the last 2 years. Like this is very far cry from like how humans are accustomed to interacting. But I think crypto in a way has become its own subculture, and that subculture is now becoming mainstream culture. And it's really fascinating to me. Like, I'm kind of scared to see crypto become mainstream culture because crypto culture is kind of crazy. Like, there's the elements of it that are really weird and gross. And, like, simp DAOs are one example of that. But there are many, many more. But I'm like, I don't know. That's why I think the sociology angle of this is so interesting. Like, there's this whole phenomenon now, like crypto's eating every culture. It's like permeating into every subculture, whether it's art or fashion. Like I used to have worlds I could go to that weren't about crypto, and now everywhere I go is about crypto, and I fucking hate it. It's whack. Like everywhere I go, people are like, hey, you're in crypto, like can I talk to you about this shitcoin that I own? And I'm like, no,
you can't. No, leave
like,
me alone.
I'm trying to have dinner. Like, please, let's talk about anything else. Anything else.
The trick's just to not go outside, not meet anyone. Then they don't talk to you about crypto.
That's so fun.
I wonder how big OnlyFans would be without COVID. Like, if COVID never happened, how big OnlyFans would have gotten.
Questions.
Did you see that?
Probably not as big as it is today.
That's what I'm saying.
That's for sure. Like,
but
people, that's also true about crypto and like everything online.
Right.
I think it was crazy. I don't know if this is true for you guys, but at least for me, it was really weird to see the fact that 2020 and 2021, which were probably the worst years of a lot of people around me, their lives, it was a pretty good year for me, just like professionally and financially and like emotionally. It was just so weird. I think we were like really blessed because of it. and we're very, very lucky that that happened. But it's crazy that just catapulted so much into the future. I mean, I was always super bullish on crypto, but COVID pulled that forward by at least half a decade, in my opinion.
Yeah, my mental health went to zero, but at least I'm rich now.
The world has been destroyed, but I'm rich.
It's like a serious divide happening.
That's why I said we're blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is serious divide.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the anti-work movement on Reddit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't, but I imagine what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of nuts. That entire subreddit has exploded, and I think that makes me super bullish on crypto and forms of gamified ways to earn money, because people, they don't want to work bullshit jobs, and they're just a bunch of people in there that are working bullshit jobs. And so they're saying to themselves, look, if I'm going to just be doing this stuff that's meaningless anyway, I might as well sit at home in my PJs and do this meaningless shit on my computer instead of going to an office and do meaningless shit.
Did you watch that? There's a great TikTok that got really popular last year. It's a couple who lives a nomadic lifestyle, and they were like, we made $14K this month. How did we do it? Day trading. Here's how you day trade. A stock goes up in price and you buy it and you wait for it to go up more. And then when it starts to go down, you sell it.
We gotta go to zero, bro.
I mean, actually, the irony of that statement is that it's completely accurate. Just buy it and then buy when it's going up and you'll be good, and sell when it's going down and you'll be fine. Just
the travel and momentum
advice from a
traders.
Professional trader, Avi Feldman, ladies and gentlemen. Advice from a professional trader. Fuck. Wow.
There was a
listen to
TikTok
this
the other
podcast
day.
from Max Alpha.
Yeah, there was a TikTok the other day that was like that. It was a kid, and he it must have been at school, and he was like, "Here's how to make 100x in crypto," and it was like, buy the right coins early and then sell them at the all-time high, and it was like, yeah. I've been doing that is right.
What happened to Teen Millionaire? Do you remember the little blonde kid who's like, here's how you save $1 million. You buy you get all of your soap and shampoo from hotels. And
yeah,
do you
Teen
remember
Exec.
this kid?
I do remember that.
Yeah, and then he got into crypto for a hot minute. Do you remember
Yeah,
this?
he came on Up
He's
Only.
on Twitter.
Yeah, he came in all hot, but I haven't seen him in a while. What happened to him?
He went to high school.
Oh. He got laid for the first time.
I think
He lost
he's
his
in high school
virginity
now.
and he stopped fucking with crypto.
Do you reckon
man.
he's like a legend? Because it's been a long time since I went to school, and if you were good at sports, you were a bit of a legend when I was at school when I was younger. But do you reckon that the social landscape in schools now is more tilted towards, as you were saying, esports has got really big, so maybe the esports players are legends, and maybe the teen exec's a legend because he's making millions with his shampoo? Or do you think he gets bullied?
Teen exec. I hope so.
I don't know.
That
I don't think
kid's
it's there
dope.
yet. I
don't know.
Only one way to find out. Let's give every high schooler in America a social token and just see.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say all of my knowledge about high school now comes from movies, mostly the Spider-Man movies.
Or
that just came
Euphoria.
out.
Or Euphoria.
Or Euphoria. And I feel like based on that, I mean, the bully in the Spider-Man movie is a short Indian kid, kind of just like me. And I was like, there's no way that I was a bully in high school, or anybody that looked like me was a bully in high school. And so if this is the circumstance now, I mean, high school is completely different.
Yeah.
I just feel old now. Thanks. Thanks, Avi.
We were talking about crypto gaming, and over the last couple of weeks, there's been a big trend of talking about different kind of crypto gaming, of the markets being a game that has shifted from PvE to PvP, and this seems to happen quite a lot in crypto cycles where the PvP comes into play. In general, it just means that the inflows into the ecosystem have halted enough, so it's not, everything's not going up together anymore. Instead, people are just rotating, passing money around the ecosystem, and if you're early you win, and if you're late you lose. Do you I know, Avi, you spoke a bit about the idea of dispersion and decorrelation of assets being a big theme into the next year, and do you think that can happen while majors remain macro bullish, or do you think it's just a sign that the market's over for a while and people are trying to scam each other out of the last like bag?
I mean, I'm of the mindset that the next year for Bitcoin and the next year for the crypto markets are going to look like a range, and that within that range, there's just going to be a bunch of different sector rotations based on what's hot or what's innovative at the moment. And so that's what my dispersion thesis is mainly predicated on, is that on like a 1 to 2 month horizon, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see decoupling across a few assets that are actually innovating or are actually doing cool things. And then more broadly, you'll just see things track BTC as like the beta. But I mean, look at it like right now, right? So from the year to date, Atom is down 3% and Solana is down 50%. And you look at the market and you say to yourself, oh, like the market's down only, but it's not. There are actually pockets of things that are doing okay. And all of the things in my mind that are doing okay are the things that are actually innovating right now or the future of crypto in many ways, right? So all the smartest investors that I've been talking to, all the smartest like programmers, they're all super bullish on this idea of, you know, DApp specific blockchains and modular blockchains coming to light. And that's, you know, Atom's game to lose at this point, right? And so I think that's why you're seeing a lot of allocation there. So that's why I'm bullish on Dispersion, is because at least from like my high level view, I'm getting much smarter questions from all the LPs that are coming to Block Tower and asking to invest. So clearly they've done their research, and all of the, you know, other funds that I'm talking to, they're doing a lot more deep research now than they were, you know, 6 months ago when we were just all punting dog coins together. Yeah. And so from my perspective, I'm just seeing the market become smarter, which is what's leading to this thesis.
But I also think, but the Solana Atom narrative is kind of incomplete, right? If we look at how much Solana has run up from, right, if we take the same time horizon, Solana went to much higher highs, and where it is now, right, comparatively, Atom has still underperformed compared to Solana over the same time horizon. So I think like you have to compare on a relative basis over the same time horizon, right? In which instance, like what Atom was at $6, it's now at what, like 30, right? So on a relative basis, Solana is still outperforming. It's just that it ran to a much higher high. And Atom perhaps still has room to run. I think part of this also, though, is like narrative based. I think what inevitably happens with all chains is there's this narrative that emerges, right? We saw with Avalanche, the narrative gets really crazy. People buy the narrative, right? Then the reality is like all chains have challenges, all these things have issues that come to light. And then we see kind of this cool off and people find a new L1 to rotate into. That runs up. Like there's sort of this rotation that happens. We're sort of a game of musical chairs. I think all of these things have long-term potential. But I think, again, there's also like a little bit of this rotation where people are looking to buy the hype. And then once it's clear that these things have issues as they grow in popularity, people build more stuff on top of them, then people rotate out of that and into another asset looking for the same type of return profile. So I think that's sort of an incomplete analogy. And I think inevitably, like the top 10, right, has shifted a lot over the last 18 months. I think it's going to continue to shift as people go through these narrative cycles, which is why I actually think the best strategy in this market is the Cardano strategies. Like, don't ever ship anything. Just keep pushing the timeline out, right? Like, just don't ship anything, because then you can just ride, like, the hype train forever. You're like, oh, yeah, smart contracts are coming. Alonzo upgrade. Like, they've done a really great job just continually pushing the ball down the field, which keeps the hope alive. Maybe that's a controversial take.
I think that was true in the beginning of the year, and I think that was true when there was a ton of retail in the market and when there was hype and when there was, you know, a bull going on. But I think the reality is right now, at least in the market, there's just not a ton of dumb money flooding in. So what you see is I mean, so that's kind of my perspective for the next couple of months is you're basically seeing smart money rotate.
So let me ask you a question then. So why is smart money, right, buying tokens at all-time highs with 2 to 4 year lockups at a 15% discount to market when they could just fucking market buy and have no lockups?
Well, it's mainly because of the discount, but I'm also not a huge fan of those deals. I think that the main reason. Yeah, so the main reason that smart money's doing it, the entire reason that they're doing it is because they can't get that size on the open market. So these deals are raising like 150 mil. If you try to buy 70, like if Tiger tries to buy 75 mil of Matic on the open market, they're pumping this thing 2x, right? So I think that's
can they
the
do
main
that
reason
instead?
that they're doing it.
Can they please do that?
Yeah.
What
So-
about
that's-
my
I
bags,
agree.
Avi?
Yeah, for sure.
What about my bags?
Look, if they 2x it in a single
And
candle,
so it's like
it'll look great.
it's kind of like a mutual like thing, right?
I don't.
the holders of these tokens or the ecosystem funds, they don't want to dump 75 mil, but they want to raise a treasury, and they, but if they dump 75 mil, they're dumping it 50%. So they're just trying to like meet in the middle, right?
Yeah.
What we need is, you remember when John McAfee used to do Coin of the Day, and
Yes,
just
yes,
announced
I
the
do.
Coin of the Day
R.I.P.
is
John
this shit.
McAfee. What a ledge.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Legend, bro.
We need Tiger Global to do that, but literally market buying 100 million. So they just post, today we're buying Matic, they 2x it, and we're good. That can save the market. If anyone at Tiger Global's listening, please get in touch. I can save you so you don't buy Oxy at the fucking top.
Oh my God, Oxy, dude.
Jeez. What happened to that?
That's
Is it
gotta-
still even in development?
It's got to be, it's like future lawsuit bait. It has to be.
Oh my God.
It's
Yeah, 'cause they delivered nothing. I don't think. Like,
yeah,
it was
I mean,
bad.
it opened. The market opened at like $4. I think I looked at the chart,
yeah.
at the CoinGecko chart the other day. It opened at $4 and then proceeded to dump 50% from April to summertime.
But there was
And-
smart money in Oxy, arguably, right? Like the Solana ecosystem investors. You had Jump, you had Alameda, FTX,
Yeah, great win for them.
Multicoin, CMS. Like it's like 6 or 7 investors who do every Solana deal. And
Yeah,
then
the
it just,
fully
like,
diluted valuation's 2.6 billion. I'm sure they're up. Like, it's great for them. It just sucks for everyone else on market. It went down 95% in the last few weeks, and
impressive.
down 95%. It still has a $2.6 billion valuation.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. It can go down another 90% and another 90%. They're still probably up.
Yeah.
It is just nuts.
I was talking about this the other day. I was like, I feel like situations like that are going to be less and less common, because people are going to see coins with these like high valuations off the jump and just be like, I'm not buying that. I'm not participating in that because it's so ridiculous, especially with no product. So I do think that's going to change, and I think especially with Solana, it's kind of changing because people are talking about it so much. Like, it's so apparent that it's happened with so many tokens. People are like, no, we're only going to support community-based projects. I think like Genesis Go did their IDO, and it was like NFTs, and then they did their IDO, and it was basically all like community launch. So I think there's going to be a lot more projects like that. I think that's going to be a shift in crypto because like it's from a like from the perspective of like the entire community. Like, nobody wants their chain to be like represented by that. So
if you're a VC, yeah, and someone comes to you with a deal, and you look at the tokenomics of the deal, and you're like, I am 100% gonna knock it out of the park with this trade. Like, there is no way, with like what they've presented in front of me, there's no way I lose money. I'm investing at like a 50-25 mil valuation. It's going to be listed on these big exchanges with perps, so I can hedge against my position instantly.
immediately, yeah.
And the float is going to be so low that the valuation will be gigantic, because even if $100,000 of retail money wants to enter into it, the valuation goes super large. If they come to you with this deal and you know you're guaranteed it's a free money deal, but everyone you sell to will, without a doubt, lose, what do you do as the VC?
So again,
Depends on your time frame, I guess.
but you're
To me, it's like reputational risk. Like,
Right?
What
I say I don't know. So I don't know much about VCs or how they do deals, but in my mind, it's like if somebody sees the same name on a project over and over and over, and every time that they're on a project, it's like they're discounted 90% and it's down only, then it's like, I'm not gonna want to be a part of that.
But it's counterpoint
I mean,
to that.
look at like the 2017 class. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Avi.
But look at if you look at the 2017 class of funds, there were just a bunch of these dumper funds that just lost access to deals, right? And they were just funding all of these like terrible projects. And now if you came in 2020, you don't even know these funds. That's why we don't do that. We don't fund projects that are exclusively just for dumping. And there are a lot of projects in crypto like that. There are a lot of projects in crypto that are, oh, we're just going to dump on retail, and that is our plan. And a ton of VCs do fund them. Not the reputable VCs, but there are VC funds out there that do. That's why we don't, is because if we did that, at some point we would stop getting access to the good deals, and we would stop getting LPs come into the fund, and it would just destroy our rep. So
I feel like there's still plenty of funds around. I mean, when you say reputation, I think there are plenty of funds around who have somewhat decent reputations who've been engaging in this behavior for years.
Name and shame.
I mean, but
I can't speak. I have no.
But unfortunately, there will always be a plethora of projects who want to raise capital, right? And so long as there's like readily available, abundant capital that has a very low bar for how they deploy that capital, like at the end of the day, as a VC, there's sort of this inherent contradiction, right? Which is why I say I'm not a VC, I'm a vibe capitalist. Like there's an inherent contradiction where you have a fiduciary obligation to your LPs, right, to make money. While at the same time, you also have, a social contract, right? The contract you have with your portfolio companies is not a fiduciary agreement. You have a social contract, right? Which is what you guys are talking about with reputation. And so the tension we see in crypto, because there's instant liquidity, is like, which is more important to you? Is it the fiduciary contract you have with your LPs and your own self-interest as someone who earns management fees and carry? Or are you more committed to the social contract you have with founders? And by and large, I will tell you in those situations from 7 years of doing this, that by and large what wins is the fiduciary self-interest, right? Because the social contract, easy to obfuscate. And again, there's a lot of shit that happens in this industry that people just simply don't talk about. It doesn't get talked about. We all know it. No one talks about it, right? Because we all want to keep good relationships with one another because people share deal flow. Like it's very symbiotic sort of the relationship, and it's a very small industry still in many regards. So I think there are these sort of incentives that are in conflict. And again, transparency, right? Like you can see who's dumping tokens. Like you can see that. You track these wallets, right? You can see that. And so people keep taking money from people they know are dumping. Like day one, their token unlocks, but they keep taking money from them. So I do think there's kind of this like weird dynamic where people in this space just love pain or like love abuse. It's really interesting. And I do think a lot of the bigger funds, like as liquidity runs out of these projects, it'll be interesting to see like how deep is that conviction or commitment, right? When something that was your biggest position like 3 months ago is sort of declining rapidly in value. I'm interested to see what happens in Q1 when people do like Q1 reporting. Are they going to get hit with redemptions? Like I do think it's sort of changed the dynamics because it's been happy times for the last like 9 months. There's a lot of capital available, a lot of LPs coming in. But when people report on their Q1 NAVs, right, you're going to see, like, especially with funds that have liquidity, I think you're going to see LPs like trying to figure out, do I want to be in this sort of risk trade? You're seeing it already. I'm hearing rumors like in private equity that LPs are getting skittish and people are trying to pull capital. So I think you're also going to see it in crypto, just like you did in 18 and in 19, right? And people were like, wait a minute, I invested in this fund. It's now down 80%. Like, fuck this. I don't want to be in this trade anymore.
Do you think that information flow makes it to retail? Or like how much of it do you think makes it to retail?
My favorite conspiracy that doesn't get discussed ever is that some crypto founders are paid by particular funds to have like a mental break or act like a total dick in public so that the funds have like, yeah, we're selling because of this recent behavior. Really, they're just like, God. Look, I'll give you 10% of this under the table if you give us a good reason to exit publicly. I've seen a few like where someone totally normal has just totally lost it for like 2 weeks and then 3 funds exited. And then everything went back to normal, and I was like, something weird happened here.
Are you talking about sushi or?
Sushi was afterwards.
As you said, name names.
Sushi was afterwards, but similar VCs exited at a similar time, which is when I created the conspiracy theory that maybe it's all orchestrated, and all you got to do to get rich is found a project, take no tokens, and then pretend to be an idiot in public for like 2 weeks, get fired, and all your original backers can pay you to exit. Great charade.
There are some sneaky things in crypto, but that is a new level of sneak to me.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Would be
Look,
wild.
If it hasn't happened yet, I reckon we can pull it off. I reckon
Kobe's volunteering.
Hey, we need to exit all of our Lido, Kobe.
Yeah, I'll just post something like incredibly racist on Twitter tomorrow, and you can go.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll DM you.
Yeah.
That's a joke. That's a joke for everyone.
Yeah, and I don't work on Lido no more, and haven't for like a year. So.
But please tell us ahead of time so we can short Kobe's sim token.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kobe social token.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
short you. We can short you and make some money that way.
I've got another good conspiracy.
Yeah, we love
BitClout.
conspiracy theories.
BitClout executed so poorly intentionally and did so many dodgy things in order to kill decentralized social before it really even started. Like the flagship project being so poorly reputable meant people seemed less interested in it generally. They were actually doing a good thing for society by giving decentralized social a very bad reputation instantly.
That's an interesting theory.
I don't know about that one.
No?
BitClout was
I think
designed-
there were a lot of financial incentives tied up with BitClout. I'd be surprised if they just nuked that.
BitClout did look like it was designed poorly on purpose, though. Like it looked like it was intentionally bad. I'm not even lying.
I got banned from
All
Angel.
I remember about BitClout is that I logged on and I saw that my token was like somebody had bought like 30K worth of it, and I was really excited. And then Loomdart DMs me and is like, "I'm dumping all of your tokens," and then all of it just disappeared. And it was all Loomdart.
I love
And then
Loom.
nobody actually bought it. It was just him.
Oh my god.
I love Loom so much. Like, where would we be without Loom? That
Loom's
little
a legend,
blueberry.
bro.
I love that little blueberry.
I got
what a
banned
guy. What a
from
guy.
Angel List for leaking a BitClout deal.
Kobe.
The
Bad
BitClout
Kobe.
the BitClout deal fund was like basically they were creating a fund and they were gonna buy loads of creator tokens of like Leonardo DiCaprio and shit. They were gonna buy them all up, then they were gonna get him to join the platform and give away like coffee with Leo to one of the top holders. And after this competition, they were going to sell all of their tokens, and that was the pitch. That was it. It was like, we're going to buy up creator tokens, get them on there, run a competition, and then we're going to sell the creator tokens and create a profit.
Okay, so here's a great example of the first like fund that's focused on manipulating social coins.
Yeah, so I tweeted that because I thought it was a
It's
scam.
amazing. Fire idea.
I immediately got banned from Angel List.
Well, I think you
That's
know,
actually interesting.
people are very sensitive to this stuff though. Like the same thing, you know. I think if you started like talking about these conspiracy theories or exposing stuff people are doing on crypto Twitter or wherever, like you'd probably get banned from Twitter. Like
I
all the
haven't been Zach
platforms,
yet. Zach XBT.
but like all of these platforms, right? These social platforms are owned by like investors. They're on the board, so like I think there is sort of an incentive to be on your best behavior because we don't have decentralized platforms. Like for how much we talk about decentralization as an industry, we're still incredibly dependent on highly centralized platforms that exercise like censorship over freedom of speech, right? Look at YouTube, look at Twitter, look at you know, even Substack and Medium blocking, banning people who express ideas that are in conflict with how they view themselves. Look at like Andreessen Horowitz is becoming a media company. They have their own propaganda arm, which I think is a brilliant idea, by the way. Look at all these crypto funds who are starting research arms, right? Like a lot of that is in many ways not just about doing research. It's about like promoting a specific type of narrative, right? That over intellectualizes what they're doing and makes like something very pseudoscientific appear more intellectual than it is, which is again not a criticism, but I do think a lot of it's just completely preposterous. Like, how are you going to do fundamental analysis on like a shitcoin? Very 2017 vibes.
I do back the idea of decentralized communication platforms, but I don't think they require social tokens. Like I'd like decentralize Twitter and make a like censorship resistant permissionless Twitter that anyone can use and can't get the platform from. I buy it, but don't make every user have a personal token by default.
Isn't that what BSV is doing with Twitch?
Twitch that.
Twitch.
I had
BSV still around?
I think so.
Is it
BSV
still around?
BSV is
Someone
Somebody
call
keep
Elon
us-
Moist. Someone get Elon Moist in here. Let's talk.
So
to him.
he tweeted me today actually or yesterday saying like
Elon did?
BSV's ruined his life basically, and
Not
That's
surprising.
yeah, he's like he put loads of like money into building Twitch and built it on the wrong platform and stuff. I don't know if he's trolling and like he asked for some donations very quickly afterwards, so I don't know if it was legit or not. But yeah, I like BSV is an interesting asset because in Jan 2020 it was worth $400 each, and now it's worth like $80. So like pre-COVID crash, it was like 4 or 5x higher than it is now. So like it's one of the only assets that throughout historic, like just unrelenting dollar printing, it actually went down priced in dollars. So it's had a ton of attention throughout the year because Craig has been in loads of lawsuits that have been hitting, mainstream news and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. And Calvin tweeted me, that's why I started looking at it all. He tweeted me saying that the original Bitcoin is like the best blockchain or something. And his Twitter account now is just him constantly tweeting people, interrupting conversations like, have you looked at BSV? Hello, please look at this link. And it's just constant.
I mean, I think BSV is a great example. Same thing with Ethereum Classic, right? If you look at
the real Ethereum.
The real
right?
Ethereum.
I mean, oof. I have a history with Ethereum Classic.
Did you think it was a real Ethereum at the start too?
No, it was just like I worked with Barry, and Barry was very convinced of this idea that we can make it like bigger than Ethereum, which God bless.
Barry. I love Barry. I think Barry's the final boss of crypto.
He's a vibe for sure.
Yeah, we need to figure out when Barry's buying, bro.
Barry,
we need to figure out when Barry's gonna fix GBTC. That's what we really need to figure out.
But he's never gonna fix it.
So that thing's broken.
But he's never gonna fix it.
It's 25% under, right?
Yeah, 30%. I think
he's got to fix it at some point.
No, there's no incentive to fix it. If you're
he's gonna have a lot of enemies though if he doesn't, because there are a lot of people that hold that thing with a lot of money, and
doesn't matter.
They've lost a lot of money on it.
But if you're printing $1 billion, say you have 50 billion in AUM, and you're printing $1 billion a year in cash from management fees, why would you ever have the incentive to make it open-ended? You have people's money. There's no way for them to liquidate the trust. Why would you do that? You know Barry
better than I do, but I also don't think that he's like, that's kind of like an evil approach to it. So like never convert it to an ETF, and like I don't know if he has that mindset. I don't think he does. So I'm just gonna like bank on the fact that at some point he's gonna do the right thing and convert this thing to an ETF. I mean, Grayscale said that they're gonna do it.
But then why would anyone hold the product? It's the highest fee product in the market, 250 basis points. Then they'd have to lower the fee, and it would go from printing $1 billion a year to printing like 200 million a year.
Yeah, I guess it goes back to the reputational thing, right?
I mean, once you've made, $4, $5, $6 billion, how much do you care about your reputation?
I think it depends on the person. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a personal thing, right? Some people they make 30 bill and now all they want to focus on is their reputation, and some people make 30 bill and then they say, all right, fucking, I'm out. It's just dependent on the person. So I'll defer to you on what Barry's going to do.
Barry gave us every signal to exit. He said it's going to be a big week at the actual top. That was the week of the top. What could be a bigger week than the all-time high? That is the biggest possible week. This is the week of the all-time high. It's never going higher again. That is a big week. And then, in case we didn't get it, he started pumping the obvious exit all market signals of Zcash. There is no other signal that could have given that would have made it more clear that it was over. And everyone thought he was trying to get us to pump it. He was saying it's time to get out.
He started tweeting,
and then he tweeted today. It's weird because there were no signs.
yeah, I saw that.
He warned us all.
He was also doom posting like the entire like global economy, wasn't he?
Yeah, the stock market too. Yeah.
You guys, we've uncovered the greatest conspiracy in all of crypto. It's right here in front of us this whole time.
Yeah,
we got to figure out when he's buying. I'm telling you.
He's the final boss of crypto. He must be. And he looks so jolly as well. Like in 50 years, he could be Santa Claus. I think he could. He always rejects coming on Up-Only TV because it's not working on his image right now.
Are you excited to interview Saylor next week? Is it this week or next week?
I feel like it's not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. I feel like it will be me going, hi Saylor, thanks for coming on, and then sitting there for 90 minutes.
Yep, you won't talk. You will not talk. Good luck with that. I love Michael, but he just goes. You'll say one word and he's like, hold on. And he will tell you, just debt, get as much debt as you can, and use it to buy Bitcoin. That's the strategy.
There's only one Michael. There's only one Michael.
There's no second best Michael.
There's no second best Michael.
I respect anyone that has like massive conviction in something, like unwavering conviction, and also I respect people that when they have conviction in something go as big as possible, not just like, oh, you know, I feel like this is going to do well, so I'll allocate a 5% over here, like, you know, some people have done. He literally went as big as he possibly could, so I respect those things. I think he's wrong about a bunch of stuff, but I have massive respect for anyone that is willing to like believe something and go all in on.
I mean, but the smartest part
belief.
is Kobe, he didn't do it with his own money, he did it with public
Yeah.
money. He did it
Well,
with
he's already in with his own money from before, right?
pension fund money, right? It's brilliant.
Yeah, that's what Barry did with the Zcash as well. He didn't buy 80 million at the top with his own money; it was other people's money. Maybe he is evil, Avi. Maybe.
It figures out like don't hate the player, hate the game, right? I think there are a lot of games that people play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's just people begging to get allocation to crypto. Like these LPs, they're going to like knocking on people's door going, we want exposure to something. Yeah. And you can say no to them because you think they'll lose money. You can say, no, don't market buy Zcash in December 2021 after 2 years of up only. But they'll just go to get it from someone else. And a lot of these institutions are just, they're paid to put risk on for people. So...
Yeah, but at the end...
Do you guys see that during our podcast, McDonald's tweeted about crypto?
What did they tweet? Hold on.
No way.
I put it in our chat.
Hold on.
What did they say?
Oh, sorry, I had to bring this up.
Oh, wait.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
Okay, well, someone needs to
bad.
read this.
McDonald's, how are you doing, people who run crypto Twitter accounts?
What? No way.
That's so good.
5.
They should have attached a job application. That would be funnier.
Yeah.
I just like that they're
Oh my
leaning.
God.
I like that they're leaning into this meme. It's great.
I do think though that it's weird that brands have parasocial relationships with followers now, and brands interact with each other on Twitter and like tweet each other.
Oh yeah,
So,
like the
I find
Wendy's
that
Burger
super
King
weird.
relationship is real weird.
Yeah, I find that really odd, and I get it as a form of entertainment, but I cannot put myself in the mind of the target audience for this entertainment. I don't get it. Maybe I'd understand it if like Bitstamp tweeted BitMEX like with some dunk. Maybe they're like, all right, finally I get it. But I find it super weird. A very strange symptom of our current.
Oh, wait, what's the most cringe like mainstream brand interaction with crypto Twitter that you've seen?
That's a good question.
I feel like there's been so much in the last 18 months.
Yeah, but I just forget them all instantly.
Why is the only one that I remember when Katy Perry painted her nails with Bitcoin?
Yeah, 'cause it was the top.
Litecoin and
In
Ethereum?
2017?
That was like the top.
Dude, on
That was the
Instagram?
absolute top.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Or when
That was bad.
when Budweiser did the NFTs, and it was like cans of Budweiser beer as.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is shit. Like,
This is bad, yeah.
Coca-Cola did that as well, didn't they? They had Coca-Cola just like, it was just Coca-Cola merch, but as NFTs floating around in a circle.
Did they really do?
but you know that they paid some like crypto Twitter NFT influencer like hundreds of thousands of dollars to help them do that concept, right?
Coca-Cola did?
Oh, I'm sure.
All of these people did. There'll be like an agency that goes to brands being like, where you are, we can do an NFT for you. Because
Yeah.
I got shilled you know my old Kobe profile picture, which was Kurt Cobain with the glasses on looking at the sky or whatever. The photographer who took that picture, an agency got in touch and was like, he wants to sell basically your profile picture as an NFT. He took the original photo. It was the last photo shoot of Kurt before he died, and he'll give you like a percentage if you help sell it out. And I was like, no, I can't shill Kurt NFTs for a fucking payment. Like at first, when he got in touch with me, I was really excited because I was like, holy shit, it's my profile picture. This is a really cool thing to support for the artist. And then I got like offered the payment, and it was just like, all right, now it's fucking weird. I can't do it now. But what happened is an agency had hit him up and been like, I think this will sell well on like in crypto. Come over and do it. So I think that just happens. All these brands like, we need to do something in crypto NFTs. It's like popping off. I even saw it on SNL or whatever. How come we're not doing anything yet? And then the people in the company are at risk of getting fired, so they've got to go hire someone. And that market demand just gets filled by like someone who joined crypto in like a year or two ago. Like, I can do this.
Well, if any brands want to do not bad NFTs, I have ideas free of charge.
I don't think they want to do them anymore.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were banking on crypto people buying them, and now that we have no money, it's like,
You guys
The target market is gone.
You guys are making me sad. Why so bearish?
I'm actually not. I'm pretty bullish right now. I was bull tweeting all morning.
Yeah, you guys. We're
I just like LARPing about being a bear.
Pain posting is like is a great way to pass time, but people get really upset by it. People get really offended if you like when it's going up and you tell bull jokes, people love them. When it's going down, you tell bear jokes, people get like really upset. Like, aren't you rich? How can you post this?
People never sell, dude. That's why.
Although I will say my highest engagement tweet to date, I think, is what I tweeted this morning, which is like a Simpsons meme, which is Bart going, my portfolio is down 50%. And then Homer going, it's only down 50% so far.
So far?
People love it. Yeah, I think the original meme is like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And then Homer says, this is the dumbest idea you've heard so far.
Yeah.
Which is also descriptive of crypto.
Oh, wow. This went proper viral, Meltem.
Is that viral? I don't know.
I mean, no, it was like 15K likes. It was proper viral.
Yeah.
But it's like a
a
bear
meme,
pain
It's a good
shit
meme.
tweet. Like, people love pain. Down only, I think, is still a good idea, Kobe. Down only. People
Well,
love
Change
something
the
else.
name.
We did one episode where we changed it to if only.
Okay.
And that was the bottom. So it's the absolute bottom.
Do down
So
only.
when we
I
And
feel
you down only with
recapitulate-
Saylor.
Yeah. If we capitulate, then it's probably the bottom again. But I mean, up only launching at the top of a 100-year everything bull market right before the like global financial collapse is quite ironic. So maybe we just gotta keep it like this forever.
Okay,
Like a
but here's-
20-year bear market, just keep it, whatever.
But here's the thing. Here's why I'm bullish, right? So there's $5 trillion of dry powder, like cash on the sidelines. And that number's from December, so it's probably even higher now because investors are exiting all markets. Microsoft is a $2.5 trillion company. Apple's $3 trillion company. Amazon's $2.5 trillion company. What are you going to do with your money? People need somewhere to put it. What are you going to do, right? Last CPI print was like 7.8%. What are you going to do with your money? I think crypto still represents one of the better risk-reward trades.
Yeah, so what you're saying is people are
I
not
agree.
sitting on cash so they can sit on cash for ages. They're just trying to buy lower. Like
They're just trying to figure it out, right? Like, we need to figure out tomorrow's FOMC. It's like Jay Powell day, so we got to figure out what happens tomorrow. If rate hikes are aggressive, like, market's going to react. I don't know how much more pain we can see in markets. Like today, the Nasdaq down like 6 or 7%. That's pretty volatile.
Tech stocks are down more than Bitcoin is down, which is nuts. Like, I was looking at that the other day. I have a list of like cloud stocks, and they're all down like straight down too, like 60%.
Yeah. If you wanna look at a shitcoin chart, look at Asana or DocuSign.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Literally,
that's one of
it's
the ones
like-
I was looking at. Yeah,
Like if you look at the weekly, it looks like BitConnect.
literally, it looks like a scam, dude. It looks like the Z Classic chart, like after it forked.
Yeah.
that is a niche reference that
Freaking
most
absurd.
people
Yeah.
watching this will not get.
Or the
God, I remember.
Peloton chart is that. It's so bad.
Yeah, Peloton too. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
DocuSign's a public company?
Bro, where have you been?
They help you sign documents, Kobe. They're very valuable.
I mean, I've used it 3 times. Every time it tells me to sign up for a new account or something, I just say no. It's a public. How do they make money?
Yeah, what are they worth actually? I just want to look this up.
Okay, so here's a crazy statistic, right? So people talk about like
25 bill.
25 billion.
All right,
for
wait.
electronic
25 billion for DocuSign. I've got an
Too
idea.
high, dude.
Decentralized DocuSign.
It's 100 billion. That's going to be 100 billion.
Yeah, but decentralized DocuSign is just like public-private key cryptography.
Yeah, that means it's easy to do. We know how to do it. The tech is there.
That means
that's a great tagline, Melton.
Wait, you can be
for that.
CTO.
It's going to go on our marketing.
You can be CTO. We're in. Let's go.
Lower, dude.
Okay, but here's a crazy statistic, right? So venture capital as an asset class, right? There are over, I think, 1,800 unicorns in like the venture space today. So there are over 1,000 companies that are valued at more than $1 billion right now. And every tech company, like almost every tech company that's gone public in the last 18 months has the same pattern, where initially at IPOs, you see some pop on the IPO and then it's like straight down. So the other interesting statistic to add to that is like people are deploying more into venture capital because you don't mark to market, right? There is this huge long period where the asset you own is illiquid. There's only private market valuation. So right now, every day in the United States, 1.5 new unicorns are minted, which means in an average year, we'll see between 500 to 600 new unicorns being born. So what's going to happen to all of these companies with multi-billion-dollar valuations? Right? Like if private companies that have $80 billion valuations, $100 billion valuations, their revenues, they're not doing like 5 or 10 bill of revenue a year. They're doing like 100, 200 mil of revenue. So there is this interesting question in late stage venture, right? There's all this capital. There are all these paper marks, but how do you actually materialize cash and return cash to your LPs? I think in a way, like that's actually net positive potentially for crypto, because in crypto, you actually do have the ability at least to materialize cash gain. So there is sort of this like interesting reckoning that I think is coming for the world of venture, where it's like, what are we going to do with all of these assets that are really illiquid but really overvalued?
Yeah,
Open
I mean,
question.
It just makes me think that the accredited investor laws are a massive scam. Like all these VCs are just doing shitcoin rotations, but with companies like, all right, we'll buy that, we'll take it public, we'll dump it, we'll do 5 more, and as like a retail investor, what you get to buy them all on Robinhood. Like fucking great.
Yeah. And then you add in
It
SPACs.
does seem like a scam, dude.
You add in SPACs, right? Like how many SPACs has Chamath done? Like 11 or something in the last year?
Yeah.
And they all go
Yeah, like-
down.
It's done a lot.
Like how many
down
of those
only.
do they lose money on? Like how do in
Every
what
single
scenarios
one.
do they really? I mean, like not
Well,
people like
retail,
them.
but he
That's what I'm saying,
loses.
like
He
them.
doesn't lose any money.
That's what I'm saying.
So basically, they get a cut, right, of a certain percentage of the equity in the vehicle for free. And what they do is they go out there, they start a company, they raise a bunch of money for this holding company, they get a percent of whatever they buy for free just for operating the whole thing. And so that's how they make basically risk-free money. And then they just dump it on retail. And it can be really good. If they make a good acquisition, it can be really good. So it's not all a scam.
Yeah, but
a lot
the
of the time
incentives are not
just inflated,
geared
you
to
know?
make, like the incentives are not geared for a better acquisition is better for the founder shares performance necessarily. How can we bring SPACs to crypto? I feel like that's like...
I mean, they are. I mean, literally, ohm forks are SPACs, in my opinion. Like that is what an ohm fork is. It's you're raising capital to do something stupid that you don't know what they're going to do yet. But a lot of people are giving them a lot of money to do
But
it.
Avi, 3-3.
And so it is a SPAC.
3-3.
Wow.
3-3. If we all hold. 3-3.
No,
If
yes,
we hold and never
yes.
sell.
It's a SPAC plus a Ponzi. It's genuinely the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I'm super bullish on that.
On ohm forks or on SPACs or both?
I'm super bullish on mostly ohm forks over like the next 6 months. I think that if retail mania comes back, they're all gonna like 10x.
But
you gotta wait for
wait,
that
but do you
to
think
It's
the
such a great
existing
selling
ones...
point, dude.
No, because think about it. All they have to do, because they have like this crazy community, is say they're going to do something insane with the capital that they've raised, and they're just going to go straight up. It's going to be like Cardano.
Right, but this is
No,
what I'm
100%.
saying, right? Like hype sells. So just if you
Yes.
want your coin to go up only, just never actually do anything. Just talk about it.
So if
say
hype
you're-
sells...
But you need retail. So we just need retail. That's the thing. There's no retail in the market right now, which is why ohm forks are down 95%.
Okay.
But when they come back, maybe we'll
I
go
have
up.
a crypto related point. Okay, this site. Do you remember in the last cycle, Real Bizanacci, the YouTube account that made all of these amazing videos, Biz? I really miss the Bizanacci videos. I feel like this is such a great opportunity. Like I think of the content Biz would have made, and I'm very sad. We need
Who
those
was that?
videos.
I miss
that
Biz, dude. Oh my god, you gotta watch Funds Are Seifu.
So
Was that this?
It's about CZ. It's honestly one of the most incredible videos I've ever watched. You have to watch it.
I miss
watch
it.
it.
Like, where
Link it,
is
I'll
this
watch it.
cycles? Where is this cycles biz? There's one he did where like people go back to working at McDonald's and they're checking crypto price and like crying every day. It's really good. So many. Biz was a ledge. We need a biz for this.
Do you guys think like, so I know we said like the fundamental analysis in crypto, like a lot of it is like better if a team never delivers a product because of hype and how that like sells to the community. That's like enough to get people to buy, which is baseline all you need. You need more demand than supply. You need, right. So like, do you think that like markets, like fundamental, like traditional markets are shifting more towards that like non-traditional sense of fundamental like valuations, or is crypto just like separate from that? Because I feel like there's a lot of companies, or like some companies, like traditional companies, that are really not valued based off how much money they're making or like their in sales, but it's more so like what they could possibly do in the future.
Yeah, it's like Zoom trading at a 2000x forward PE multiple.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yes, exactly.
But I think there is in crypto, we kind of have this belief that like other markets are not fucking insane. So we kind of have this inferiority complex where we believe that like non-crypto markets are somehow rational, and they're not at all, right? And I think we've seen that over the last 18 months. It's just that we're more self-conscious about it. So I think as a whole industry, we have this inferiority complex. But if we look at traditional markets, right, like there's a ton of dog shit that's way more egregious than any shitcoin. Like look
Exactly.
at
Yeah,
look
exactly.
at Nikola.
Yeah.
Look at Nikolai, right? This company is an electric car manufacturer. At its peak, it was valued at $29 billion. They have never delivered a single working truck. The only demo video they had was them rolling a truck downhill. They announced some like partnership with GM,
Yeah, dude, it's
right?
crazy.
That never actually existed. $29 billion of public equity value.
I think crypto's Ponzinomics are better, honestly, like than most of
it
these
is.
companies. Like, honestly.
It's
My
incredible. I mean, it's truly incredible. So I think there is this thing where people believe, like if you've read Benjamin Graham's The Value Investor, like a lot of that is reading tea leaves. I think like a lot of stock picking and like fundamental stock analysis is like voodoo science. You know, it's like Scientology or some esoteric like dark arts woo-woo shit. Because a lot of that's kind of gone out the window.
Yeah, I think in like the past few years, like from my point of view, people are realizing that it's like, it's the people who are saying like we're experts at doing this, they're not really like using any more advanced analysis than what a regular person is doing. Like the stuff with GameStop and what's the other one that went crazy?
AMC.
GameStop and AMC.
AMC.
Yeah, like that was insane.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like GameStop's a great company. It was like that was the narrative, that was the story. So I think a lot more of that is happening. I'm curious to see how it develops in the future.
If hype and attention are the only things that matter, do you think Atom would be doing better than it currently is? Like, you know, we were saying earlier that it's underperformed Solana over the last 2 years or whatever. Do you think it would have been materially different, like an order of magnitude performance difference, if they'd hired like a handsome person or like just some like hot dude or woman to be their CEO, but their CEO's job is just to go on YouTube and go like, here are our technical updates, and just it doesn't even need to make sense. But do you think they would have done better?
Like
100%.
if they were able to generate like a cult around it, 100%.
But I don't
That's
think-
kind of what Cardano did.
But you don't
There's
need
the
to
cult
be
of
hot.
Hoskinson,
But
right?
you don't need to be hot. That's why Charles isn't like traditionally hot. And he
I don't know.
Charles
You
is
don't
baby.
find Charles attractive?
Charles is baby. What are you talking about? Have
Have
not
you seen his
he's got like
photos?
the fucking hawk, dude? He's like,
You've seen him with the ice cream, right? I mean, like, come on.
I've seen
yeah,
him with
he's on his
the
farm.
Falcon.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think Charles Hoskinson is like the first social influencer who's memed his way into multi-billion-dollar coin.
Dude, he has a social token. His social token is Cardano. That's
It's
literally
incredible.
his social token.
It's incredible.
No, literally. Like the network is, what was it? Their first DEX launched like last week, and it was like nobody could even send transactions.
No, my favorite part about it is they said it might take 3 to 4 days for transactions to
And
clear.
they told people ahead of time that this was the case. It's like $40
totally
billion.
normal, you guys. We're using a UTXO model. It's inherently superior. Okay, don't question
It's
it.
peer reviewed. It's peer reviewed.
Like, you can say whatever you want about Cardano and Charles, but you can't say he's not handsome. Come on. We're not moving off that. Yeah, I mean...
I do think, like, I to be serious for half a second, I do think that, like, as a whole, the crypto world has gone way too far to the side of only hype matters.
Yeah.
And at some point, we're going to come back to, like, actual usage and actual value will matter. And I think that's now and, like, over the next year. And that's actually how I'm betting right now. Like, that's how my portfolio is positioned. That's how the Block Tower portfolio is positioned. I'm betting heavily that things that are actually real are going to do better than the things that are just pure hype. Now, obviously, hype is really important, and community is really important, and cult-like behavior are very important. But I think it's going to coalesce around things that people actually see value in, especially when the market's like not full of degenerate retail pumpers.
Right, but let's if you draw a parallel, and instead of blockchains with like complex financial products, you say it's like it's fizzy water, it's a sugary drink, and you got Cardano, which might taste average, but they're phenomenal at selling. Like, they've got the best marketing, they've got the best can design, blah 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 blah. And then if you have Atom, Red Bull.
Red Bull. Red Bull tastes
okay,
like shit,
Red Bull.
but people drink it. It's wild.
And then you got Atom or something which you've said you think is like hugely valuable, their game to lose, which just doesn't participate whatsoever. Like, their can's just blank, and they've never put out an advert ever. Don't you think the market just demands them to get better at the advertising stuff? Because, like, at the end of the day, there's lots of competition, and the best tasting drink might not always win just because it tastes better. Do you not think they have to get good at these things, or do you think like?
No, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I think that the issue is not that. That's not the issue in my mind. The issue is that we're way too far to the side of the sugary drink, right? And like that, like, doesn't actually fucking work. And it's like people are like waking up to the fact that they're drinking this like goddamn soda water that isn't doing anything for them.
And
they're like, cancer. Okay, I'm gonna go to the it's giving me cancer, and I'm in a hospital bed
But
now. And I think that they're gonna come back to the things that like are advertised well, but actually work a little bit,
But-
so it's like all I'm saying is that I think there's gonna be more balance.
okay, but let's look at some of the top coins by market cap, right?
Yeah, it's
BNB is number 4.
This is a forward-looking statement.
Cardano
right?
is up there. XRP's still up there. Doge, SHIB. So I agree with you, Avi, but I think the other part is how do you differentiate actual usage, right? So like we started this episode with, when we look at some of these things, like the metrics are completely distorted, right? Because, for example, if we look at Avalanche, right? I'm not picking on Avalanche. I think Avalanche actually is super interesting, but a lot of the stuff that's happening on Avalanche, like new wallet creation, all of the activity, is people looking for yield on yield farms, right? Because the yield on like some of these farms like Snowdog, etc., is 30,000%. So how much of that is actual real engagement versus just ephemerality of like this current trend that exists when things are very nascent? It's like sort of hard to parse. It's like hard to parse what is real versus unreal.
Yeah, I like this point because it also has the assumption that things become valuable because the tech is good and not because we're playing in a massive casino online. Like people might have been right about certain crypto assets for the wrong reasons, and the reason like something gets into the top 10 is not because it is like the most superior like decentralized lending product. It's just that it won on being an attractive token that attracted people's attention and therefore went up. And the purpose of it is just to go up. It's not to actually provide a lending platform. It's like not to provide a product. The actual product is just the token itself in the massive decentralized casino.
I think the bootstrapping phase in like those early stages, as you said, like with Avalanche, are they adding users just because people want to play in a casino, or are they adding users because like of the network's value in the future? I think it's indistinguishable for something like Cardano and something like Avalanche at that first step. Like you'll never know during the business and marketing side, like when all the new users are joining and they believe in it, you won't know until later when they've actually delivered on their product what's actually going to stay around. So like getting to the top 10, I think is heavily on attention. Staying in the top 10, I think is more on the product. And I think that's what Avi is talking about.
Ripple's been in the top 10 for 8 years.
Yeah, crypto's moving too slow.
Its time has come. It's time. I'd wager that it's out of the top 20 in 18 months. I think its time has come.
I think so too. I'm super long Cosmos, dude. So, I'm with you.
All right.
We're
just here coping about our bags, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Why are people not
like,
buying?
I'm like, it makes sense. It should work.
It's like, look, we're smarter than everybody. We've got the
please.
best one. Why is no one else buying the best one?
Exactly.
They're like, we just want the one with the dog. We want the one that's going up. We don't care about the blockchains, dude. All right, we've been recording for ages. I want to end with we spoke about a bunch of bearish shit, and the prices are down. So I want to end on the question: thematically, what is going to zero? Like, you spoke about own forks, you're super bullish on them, so not that. We spoke about dog coins, all these things. Thematically, not a specific coin, not a specific like asset or whatever, but like as a narrative or a theme, what do you think is going to zero? And I can start first if everyone wants some time to think about it. I think that like Metaverse coins are just all going to zero. I think it's similar to NFTs in 2017, where it's like so much people got this idea and then they get really ahead of themselves because they heard this idea, they don't really get it, but there's something novel in it, so they just rush into whatever exists, and the things that exist first are not necessarily the best things, and people spend a bunch of time to work out what actually is the metaverse, what makes sense, and people FOMOing into like whatever VR chat locking stuff right now. I think all that stuff goes to zero for quite a while, and I think it probably has a revival when everyone thinks the metaverse was a dumb idea and they're memeing about it. So I think like metaverse stuff is going zero. I would extend it to like a lot of GameFi, but I think GameFi has way more merit than the metaverse, which I genuinely think is like basically vapor.
What is a metaverse token, Kobe? Like, what's an example of that?
All right, let's open CoinGecko and look at the metaverse tokens. They also, unfortunately, have some of the worst tokenomics as well. Metaverse. So the top metaverse token is Axie Infinity, which I don't know if it counts as metaverse. Maybe it does. Decentralized, Sand, Engine Coin, DeFi Kingdoms, Illuvium, Render Token, Victoria VR, Mobox, UFO Gaming.
Wait, you think Render is a metaverse token?
No, CoinGecko thinks it's a metaverse token.
Render is like a distributed compute token. It's distributed GPU rendering.
Yeah, to render the metaverse, that's probably why it's there.
I mean, I'm a Render investor, so I'm probably biased. I won't show my bags.
I'm just reading out the list of things that are categorized as metaverse, but I think so much of at least like the retail hype that I'm seeing now in like the crypto YouTube accounts and stuff is all like, here are some metaverse coins for the future, and all the metaverse coins of like 20 to 50 billion FDV, even though they're down like 50% already, and their vesting schedules are like they're 4 months away from 10 to 20 million daily emissions, and they're like all like virtually privately owned like bags. So I think a lot of those things they've ridden a hype wave and created some like really predatory tokenomics, and it will make like the contagion or like the damage to like the term metaverse will be so bad that it will like fall entirely out of relevance for a while. And then if we get another crypto cycle later, there'll be like one metaverse project that launches in like 2 years that no one's ever heard of, which is like the crypto punks of that cycle. But like I think so much of it, I think it's a massive retail trap at the moment because they see you can show them stuff in a YouTube video that and they can kind of go, yeah, like, oh, I can imagine it, and they're just not looking at the like how bad the like financials of these things are. Plus, like what you were saying earlier, it costs so much to make a game. Imagine how much it costs to like make an alternative reality that everyone could exist within.
Westworld.
Well, that technology also doesn't exist yet, right? Like, we don't have the GPUs or CPUs or even the headsets for people to actually be able to engage in those experiences.
Yeah, well, they're kind of trying to just recreate Minecraft, I think. But, like, they're not doing even a good job of that.
But, like, a bad Minecraft.
Yeah. Decentralized Minecraft.
Wait, what else is going straight to zero?
Yeah, like, thematically, what's going to zero?
I gotta think. I think
I'll pitch you some options then if you don't have answers.
I really don't like the like DeFi. A lot of the DeFi tokens, I honestly don't really like that much. Because I think like their value accrual to the token is broken. I think for a lot of them. And the DeFi narrative is now a lot more complex than it was back in 2020 when it first started out. Like when 2020 I was like DeFi on Ethereum, like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everything DeFi is going 100x, and it did. Everything DeFi went 100x. But now it's like, okay, these platforms exist. They're like doing well building out these platforms, but why do I need to hold this token to use them? And I think people are kind of realizing that while also being up a lot. So I don't really like a lot of the DeFi, at least like the older DeFi plays. I think the newer launches, like you said, they are going to get a lot of that new attention. But the older ones, I don't really think.
But people just come to farm the tokens and they dump them, and then the yields go down, right? And they just go to the next one. So it was like first it was Ethereum DeFi, then it was Solana DeFi, now it's Avalanche DeFi. I'm sure there'll be like a new chain that has really great incentives, and it's just like a slow bleed.
Like a lot of the economies that exist, like they're designed, like you said, they're designed for people to sell the token. So like,
I think DeFi thematically, I'm long-term bullish off. I think like an idea of a decentralized, middlemanless financial system is very important. But I can definitely buy that like being bearish DeFi governance tokens that were tacked on the end is a very reasonable position to have. Especially the ones where they're genuinely pointless, and it was like it works better without them. I think there's like a handful where it's like this token is required to make this product viable, but I think it's actually like a handful, like less than 5 or 10 or something. And I think people are very bad at identifying them. What about proof of work?
Yeah, it's fair.
I'm obsessed.
Oh, I was gonna say currency coins. Those are going to zero. Like things like XLM, XRP, BCH, BSV. I just short them all against my main assets. Like, I'm literally just like always short those. I don't think there's been a time where I haven't been short those in a while.
Just like perpetual hedge to the downside.
They're just useless. I mean, like they barely go up and they just like dump. So it's kind of free money to just short them to hedge your risk.
Yeah.
Fuck. I might get liquidated by Craig. Now that if he listens to this.
Yeah, he's gonna hear you. Yeah.
Meldon, what's your answer?
I don't know. You guys have already taken a lot of the good ones. Like DeFi, I definitely think a lot of that is just pointless. I think a lot of the like Ethereum killers are going to be
spicy. This is a
pointless.
spicy take.
That's a good one. It makes people mad.
Yeah, I mean, it's not making people mad. It's just like right now there's sort of this premise that like layer 1 blockchain compute is a valuable asset because it's limited in terms of capacity. But a lot of these platforms don't really have any differentiating features, and a lot of them from a technical perspective don't even function as intended. And the tokenomics are terrible. So I think a lot of these smart contract killers are going to be under a lot more scrutiny. And I think the question is like, what's the differentiated utility of another smart contract L1 versus using ETH L2, something like Arbitrum or Optimism, where at least like the EVM is compatible and it's easier to move assets between L1 and L2. So I think there's generally like this over exuberance around L1 smart contract platforms. And I don't really know if that's going to persist.
I like that take. It's a spicy take. I think loads of them are going to really struggle to maintain ecosystems, which will be a test, and maybe like a handful will come out the other side.
So my thesis is, though, that a lot of what we've seen in terms of asset migration from Ethereum to Solana to Avalanche, now Near and Cosmos, is not actually people moving to these chains because they're doing anything like fundamentally different. It's just that they're launching new DeFi projects where the yields are really high to begin with. And so a lot of the migration we see is people seeking higher yields rather than people actually being there for like a specific differentiated purpose. And then the question is like how much of that computation will stay on that L1 versus just going back to the Ethereum sort of compatible chains, right? Especially with non-EVM compatible chains, just because the cost of developing on those chains is so much higher. Like if you're hiring a bunch of Rust devs and you're not EVM compatible, you're like sort of stranded on this island, right? Like Polkadot is a great example as well. Like Polkadot's not that easily compatible with where the action is today, and they don't even have good yields on their yield farms.
They did invent Web3 though. It's a good meme. They should have made Web3 be Polkadot, then it would have gone up so much.
I mean, this is what I don't get. Like, I've never used a Polkadot product, and again, that's not a criticism, but like, I've never, as a crypto consumer, used anything on Polkadot. I don't know if anyone here has yet.
I guess I technically used Moon, or what was it, Moon River,
Yeah.
which is on Kusama.
I use that,
but it's
too.
just kind of hard. Yeah, but it's on Kusama, not Polkadot.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's just hard to get over. I mean, unless you spend a lot of time figuring out how to do it, it's just a little bit hard to get there.
Yeah,
so
it's really hard to get
I think that's why most people don't.
We need a name for this podcast. Should we just let someone else come up with it? The internet.
Yeah, I think we should put out the episode, and then can we make a SimpDAO token, and then we can give some SimpDAO token. Let's invent Ponzinomics to encourage people to really get creative with the names.
Yeah, like
Yo,
we've
we
established
should.
that if you pay people in fake coins to do something they don't enjoy, they'll still do it. So we'll get loads of viewers.
Exactly.
Yeah. We can issue NFTs for this. Amazing.
There'll be hold on. This is every pitch I've gotten for the last like 3 months. It's NFTs play to earn Metaverse.
Yeah, going to zero, all of it.
That's actually our title right there.
Going to zero, all of it. That's the title.
That's our title. Going to zero, all of it.
Yeah, how does it work? Because then I'll do up only on fucking Thursdays and then going to zero, all of it.
All of it.
Yeah. Oh, at least I'm well hedged. All right,
Just
I'm
make
pressing
it work,
stop.
Kobe.
Nice to see you all.
Bye.
See you next time.
Cool. Ciao.
See ya.